Hey everybody, this is my 55-gallon T-bar tank, and right now everybody's kind of laying low because I just added a bunch of neons into the tank. My big chain pet store has neons on sale for $1 a piece again, so I wanted to clear out one of my quarantine tanks that had a bunch of neons in it and make room for a bunch more. I've always got room for neons. I've got a bunch of tanks and I can sprinkle neons around everywhere. They're always a beautiful little splash of color. And the reason we put them in this tank today in particular is because we're going to change the lighting over, and I really think the neons are going to pop when we put the new light on this tank. So right now the light that we've got on there is actually a pretty good light. It's a Coralife, and it's got a twin T5 fixture on there. It's two high output tubes, and I have two 10,000K tubes on there. I'm not sure about the lux and the lumen and the par and all that stuff. That's not really a concern of mine, especially in this video. We're just going by the visual appearance, and we'll probably talk in generic terms about color temperature, and we're gonna, it's sort of in the ballpark when we talk about color temperature. So I do have two 10,000K tubes on here, and what that does is it produces a lot of blue light, and that's why the fish that are in this tank look so good. The neons really pop in particular, and I've got this green giant here that just looks amazing. I love this angelfish. So the fixtures we've got on there, like I said, is the fluorescent fixture with the 10,000K T5 high output. So we're running 108 watts. Each tube is 54 watts. So the light we're going to put on here is the same as the one I recently put on my gourami tank, and it's a very inexpensive shop light, but it's an LED shop light. And by shop light, I mean it's a 4-foot long industrial sort of light that's meant to be hung in a shop or over your laundry area or something like that. It's not attractive to look at necessarily, but that's okay because I keep my tanks covered with a piece of cloth anyway, just to keep the light pollution down when I'm shooting videos, and just because I like the way it looks visually myself when I'm in the room. I don't like to see light coming off the top of my tanks. I like to see the light coming out from inside the tank. So we've got a better cover over the tank, and we're going to put a new light on it, and hopefully that's going to make the tank look a lot better. Now, it's going to be interesting to see because I've got 10,000K on there right now, which is a lot of blue in it. The blues in this tank should really be standing out, as they do, but the fixture we're going to put on there has it listed as 5,000K. So it should not nearly be as much blue, or what we would call a bright white. It should be more of a softer white, or a warmer white, and have more of the daylight glow to it, that sort of reddish orangish glow to it, the lower that number gets. When you get all the way down to like 2,700K, that's like sunsetty evening kind of glow on a tank. So the 5,000K, I suspect, is not necessarily accurate, and I don't know within the industry how tightly those standards are held. I don't know if companies are allowed to just slap whatever number they think they want to put on there for sales. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but to my eye, the light we're about to put on here is far bright white, and by bright I don't mean like lumens or lux or anything. I'm talking about the color temperature, and bright signifies more of the blues, and the soft or warm signifies more of the reds and oranges in there. So when I say bright white, I mean how sort of crisp and blue it looks. So right now, as I said, we're looking at 10,000K, which is getting up towards actinic, where it all looks strange and blue. That's about 14,000K. That's really getting up there. But 10,000K is a lot higher than most people put on a tank. So let's have a look at what we've got at 10,000K and 108 watts of T5 fluorescent to 40 watts of LED. So I think that makes a huge difference. I really, really like it. I mean, the neons are all the way down at the bottom. Half of them are underneath of the shade of the plant. and you can still see them trying to pop out of the screen. So the green giant here looks pretty much amazing, and because of the size and shape of this fixture, even when the fish are more towards the back of the tank, they're still pretty brightly lit. I mean, you can see all of the hardware in the back of the tank that was all in the shadows before. In fact, you can even see where my cloth in the back is falling off. I didn't even notice it was like that until I put this new light on here. So that's all a result of the different shaped fixture. So everybody's still a little freaked out from me, you know, just taking one light fixture off. You can imagine, as quietly as I tried to do it, I still made a fair amount of banging on the tank, and that always freaks all the fish out. So I'm just, once again, really happy about this. So for comparison's sake, let's see how brightly lit this comes out, and I might have to turn the overhead light on. You can see that enough. So that is the box that the fixture we're looking at came in. I believe it is about $50 on Amazon. I will put a link below if you wanted to just get it the easy way. I went up to the big box Wally World store, and it is $38 there. And again, $38 for an LED light that does that, I think, is a pretty good bargain. Now, I've mentioned in the other video that because of the quality of light, I'm not going to get into the details of it now, but because of the quality of light, it may wind up producing a lot of algal growth. A lot of times with a lower quality LED, it looks fine to our eyes, but the actual light spectrums that it's putting out are more conducive to algal growth. It's a lot more of the mid-range color spectrums going on in there. So we'll have to see over time if that makes a difference or not. But I do have off-flux grazing fish that, as you can see, keep the tank crystal clear anyway. I know I've got a little bit of stuff on the glass that needs to get wiped off, but otherwise, I don't have any problem with growth in this tank. So even if it does develop some growth, I'm not going to be too concerned about that, but it will be interesting to see if that's the case. The other thing I wanted to point out is how, once again, if we look at these light fixtures and compare the two side by side, look how narrow this fixture is. It's, I think, 5 inches wide. And if you look at how close together the tubes are, I mean, the tubes are right next to each other. They're almost touching each other. So what that amounts to is when we put it on the tank, you can either sort of put it on the forward section of the tank, or you can put it across the rear section of the tank. If you try to lay it sort of down the middle, the black, seam section, the hinge where the hood is, pretty much blocks all of the light, and it doesn't work. You've either got to have it forward or rear, and then we run into the issues that I was having with this tank before. If the fish swim to the back of the tank, you couldn't see them, and then when they swam up front, you could. Of course, then I've got the light sitting on top of my hood, but if I kept the light in the back of the tank, as soon as the fish swam forward, you could no longer see them because they swam out of the light. This light is wide enough that it actually lights the whole tank up, and let's have a look at it underneath the hood here. So you can see how it's wide enough that one section right down the middle, and it's got one strip of LEDs in the front section and one strip of LEDs across the back section, and so just that simple change makes that big of a difference. Now I'm still going to have to deal with it being in the way when I open the hood up a little bit, but I was dealing with that anyway, and as far as I'm concerned, the difference in appearance is well worth it to me. Another downside of the other fixture, and again, if you really like the fluorescent fixtures, I'm not knocking that fixture. In fact, I'll put a link to that below as well. I really like the Coralife T5 fixtures. They're good quality fixtures for the price you pay, but you've got to replace the tubes every year or so if you've got a planted tank and you want the plants to do well. And the tubes aren't cheap. The ones I have in there, or had in there, are about $10 a piece, plus the fixture's about $70 or $65 or something. This LED fixture we're looking at, again, I paid $38 for it, and with the LEDs, if they turn out to be a decent quality LED, I'll have years and years. An LED, the quality of the light degrades very, very slowly. You only lose a few percentage of its quality from year to year. Whereas standard tube light, even a highest quality tube, over a year period, you're going to have lost about 50% of the quality of the light spectrum when it comes to trying to grow plants. So they do need to be replaced fairly frequently, and they're not cheap. So this LED is fairly cheap. And again, it's sort of repurposed. It's not meant to be over a fish tank. You know, it's meant to be over your laundry area or hanging in your garage. But again, for the less than $40 I paid for it and the colors it's given me, I'll take it. Those neons look like somebody put batteries in them. I'm dying to really get a good look at my T-bar once he comes out and settles down and everybody's not stressed. So make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss any of the videos I got coming up on this tank. Now that it's going to look like this, I'm probably going to be down here shooting a lot more video of it. I'm really excited about the way this looks now. And as a final little teaser, I'll show you side by side. They look a lot the same now. So again, make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss anything I've got coming up. Don't forget the tank we were just looking at is my T-bar tank. And the tank you can see to the right there with that beautiful angelfish is actually my gourami tank. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope that was helpful to somebody. And I'll see you real soon in the next one.